Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly. Well, welcome back to the DCL podcast, your podcast to help you cruise a little smarter. And one of the best things that I've enjoyed about podcasting is getting to meet other podcasters and other Disney cruisers. And I'd like to welcome back to the show two of my favorite people that I've met along the way, all the way down in California. How you doing today, Chris?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me again.
Thanks for coming back on, and all the way back out there on the East Coast, enjoying his summer, busy as always, the amazing host of the DCL Dude podcast. How you doing today, Wes?
I'm great. East Coast, Best Coast.
East Coast, Best Coast.
No.
Well, you guys are winning because 2024 does not look like a good year for Disney Cruise Line out here. So,
right. Although I just saw some recent weather forecasts, and we're supposed to have like an all-time snowfall this winter. So, I hope that doesn't come true.
Well, I don't know. Your kids are younger, so playing hockey and then also maybe doing some sledding and stuff like that could be a fun time in the winter.
For sure. Yeah. Yep.
Well, let's just jump into it. We're going to touch on a whole bunch of different topics, but before that, I'm just going to throw this out there. What do you think of the rumor, Wes and Chris, of the Fantasy possibly coming over and doing Alaska cruises? Any truth to that, you think?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm sort of the same way, and I don't think. I feel like the way the Wonder has been positioned recently, it sort of seems like it's their plan to have the Wonder kind of serve the West Coast, right? And also, I thought one of the reasons those bigger ships weren't up there is because they just didn't, fit into ports and the bridges and all this stuff, and also the amount of people. We were just there a couple weeks ago, and the amount of people that are in these ports of call, even with some of the smaller ships, it's too many. And so to have a fantasy size ship and then some of these other cruise lines that bring a lot of passengers, I just think it's too much. And I don't know, I'm not sure the fantasy could even fit under the Lionsgate Bridge there in Vancouver.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm not sure. I'd have to look into that one. Chris, what are your thoughts?
I don't see it happening, but I'm sure Disney would love for it to happen, because what they charge for those sailings to get another third amount of people. But to Wes's point, we're used to going to Ketchikan on Saturday on the Wonder, right? There's the Wonder and usually one other ship there. We were there on a Wednesday with 5 ships. I've never seen so many people in one place in my life when we were on the celebrity sailing.
Yeah, it's gotten to be pretty crazy. If you can really look ahead of time and see what ships are going to be in port during your sailing and stuff like that, it can make a huge difference. Norwegian's got 2, Royal's got 1 the size of the Fantasy already up there. The downside too is that they don't fit in the inside passage, and so you definitely miss out on being able to see that, which I think is a huge part of going to Alaska.
Oh,
right,
definitely.
Wes? Yeah, Chris.
For sure. I think that's one of the main draws of Alaska, is to be able to cruise through the inside passage there.
So we will see. Well, we're going to touch on a whole bunch of different topics today. And for the first time in forever, did I say that? I don't know. I guess I did. So all 3 of us actually went to Alaska this year, although on different cruise lines. So I thought we'd, just kick it off with that and talk a little bit about Alaska. Our family went on, or actually Wake and I just went on Norwegian, and Chris, you went on Celebrity, and Wes, you were on the beautiful Disney Wonder. Let's just start with you, Chris. What makes Alaska unique? What's unique about Alaska versus going to Europe per se, or the Caribbean, to you?
I just think that the views are stunning, no matter where you are. Inside passage, just sailing, with snow-capped mountains, up to a glacier, waking up in Juneau or Skagway. I mean, I think the views are just stunning everywhere, and the wildlife is just incredible.
And how about you, Wes? And I'm gonna throw another little curveball into it too. Your kids are a little bit older now. They're not toddlers or anything like that. And one of the reasons I think a lot of people don't go to Alaska with their kids is when they're small, because they don't think that there's much for them to do, or they're kind of worried about that. What's unique about Alaska to you, and how did your kids do this year?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, my kids did amazing. My son absolutely loved it. He immediately, when we got off the cruise, asked when we could go back, and he still, when we talk about cruising, he says he wants to go back to Alaska. So he's 9, and they loved it. I think a big draw for them though is just being on a Disney cruise. They love the ship, they love the characters, all everything that comes with being on the ship. But What makes Alaska so unique is really just that the destination itself is so different than any other place that you go to, and it speaks to the mountains and the snow and the wildlife, but there's something about it, like when you're up there and you're sailing through the Inside Passage, it's just so quiet and calm and peaceful, and there's noise restrictions, so a lot of times funnel vision's not even playing on the upper deck because they can't have the outside noise, so it's so peaceful. It's so relaxing, and then you just get so many hours of sunlight, and it's the views. It's just unlike anything else that you're going to get from any other cruise destination. And so I've never been to Norway. I imagine it's relatively similar, but it's just a really unique experience, and one that I think Disney does really well. I can't speak for the other cruise lines, but I would imagine you get similar experiences from those.
I think that's well said. That was that's not true. That was our first Disney cruise, I guess we did. And you kind of get used to the fact that you can see land almost the whole time while you're sailing.
Right.
And then, it's not until you get down to the Caribbean, some other places like that, you realize that how unique of an opportunity that really is. So,
and there's something to be said, in Europe, you go to all these amazing destinations. I think every port I've been to in Europe is some industrial port where you're looking at like a oil cargo ship and oil tanks, and there's nothing nice to look at in the port when you wake up in the morning compared to Alaska, where it's always something nice.
It made me think about when we were just in Mykonos. There's like this giant, huge tanker going by and whatnot. So yeah, but that wasn't quite it's more like the Mediterranean ports that are much more industrial like that. And Greece is a little bit different. And we're not going to touch on all the aspects of Alaska. Wes, you've already gotten your trip reports out on your podcast. You did a 2-part series, right?
Yes.
So if people want to find that and listen to that, where can they find that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts, you can find our trip reports of the Alaska cruise that we just did.
And I'm guessing most people that are listening to this show listen to your show too. And also you started a blog as well.
Yes. The DCLdude.com, where I have written trip reports of all of those, each day that we were up there, lots of pictures and stuff like that. So you can, see my thoughts on all those places that we visited.
I love all the pictures you took, and just looking back on that, just so and if you haven't been to Alaska, definitely go over to Wes's blog and check out those pictures, because it'll just make you want to go. Well, let's turn to the ports themselves. Chris, what was a favorite port of yours? You got to go to some different ones this one time, I believe, on Celebrity.
Yeah, so we did a southbound instead of a loop cruise. We actually got an extra port, which was Icy Strait Point, and we got to go to Hubbard Glacier, which I think is the highlight of this sailing. Going to Dawes and Sawyer Glacier, they're awesome and incredible until you've been to Hubbard, which is just so much bigger. It's just incredible.
Was there a favorite port adventure that you guys did this time, as far as whether you booked it through the cruise line or just did it yourselves? Was there something that you guys did that was exciting?
So in Juneau, we did the helicopter to the glacier, and we had a great time doing that. We've booked that excursion now, I think 4 times, and it's happened once. So
So
it gets canceled a lot for weather. So it was exciting to finally be able to get on the helicopter and land on the glacier and walk around the glacier. That was probably the highlight of our sailing.
So kind of like the parasailing on Castaway Cay.
Yeah.
Your results may vary as far as being able to go there. We got to do that as well on ours with our family. And boy, just the scenery itself going up there. And we weren't really on the glacier a long time, but it was pretty magical to be up there and get some pictures.
Yeah, unfortunately, we were on the glacier maybe 20, 30 minutes. I don't remember. But yeah, the view up there was great. And to tell you how often this stuff gets canceled, so that was in Juneau. The next day we were in Skagway, and we had another helicopter scheduled, and it got canceled. And I know Wes had the same experience this summer too. His got canceled.
Well,
we don't like to talk about that.
All right. Well, let's turn to you, Wes. Besides the helicopter misadventure, I guess, what was one of your favorite ports? And I'd love to know what your kids' maybe favorite thing was to do.
Yeah, I love Ketchikan, and so this is my second time on an Alaska cruise, and both times Ketchikan was my favorite port of call. It's a cool town. It's got that small town feel, but there's so much to do right there at the port. There's tons of things to see and do just walking off the ship if you don't have any port adventures booked, and lots of local things that you can buy. That I really like Ketchikan. And my favorite port adventure that we've done in Alaska is the dog sledding on the glacier. We got to do that, my wife and I, last time we went. Tried to do it this time, got canceled. Maybe we'll get into that later. But the other thing we did in Ketchikan was we went salmon fishing, which was just an awesome experience, and I would absolutely do that again. My kids both really liked that, and that's one thing I was kind of nervous about going into it, because it was a long port adventure, but both of them were really into it, had a lot of fun reeling in the fish. So they really enjoyed that. And then actually that's really the only port adventure we ended up getting to do, because we didn't have anything planned for Icy Strait Point, and then our one in Juneau got canceled. So they enjoyed everything that we did in the ports. We got off at Icy Strait Point, just walked around. Same with Juneau, and they like doing all that stuff.
Did you have anything to add about the helicopter being canceled? Was that handled well with Disney or anything like that? Or was there a story behind it?
Yes and no. I mean, we got off the ship early and kind of walked around, and then we were getting back on, and there's this guy in Juneau, like a local tour guide, trying to sell tours, and he's yelling at us saying, "Hey, come talk to me." And I said, "No, we're all set. We have a helicopter ride." And he's like, "That's going to get canceled. Come talk to me." And I'm like, No, we're good." He said, "Okay, I'll see you when you're looking for something to do later on." And so I'm like, I'm getting back on the bus, and I just, it's not sitting well with me. And I'm like, does he know something that we don't know? So we go back on the ship, get our stuff, go down to Azure, I think it is, to check in for a port adventure. And they tell us, your excursion's been canceled. And we're like, what do you mean? It's the most beautiful day I've ever seen outside. There's no wind. It's, crystal clear blue skies. How is it possible? And I felt like I needed an explanation. They didn't give us an explanation, and it just, I wasn't mad at the cast members. It's not their, it's not their call, but I felt like I needed a reason why it was canceled, and we never got it. So, I think next time we'll book private, because I think they have the helicopter companies have different standards for the cruise lines than they do for, people who book privately. But that was our experience with the cancellation of the port adventure.
Well, I'm sorry that happened to you guys. Did you go back and talk to that guy and do something different with him?
No, so we were all like so bitter after it happened. We didn't want to do anything else, because it was just, we were so upset, and really kind of, it took a while for the shock to wear off that, this had been canceled, because we were certain there was no possibility of it being canceled that day.
Yeah, well, especially with it being clear in a million like that. Holy cow.
Yeah. So to follow up to that, there's a cast member on board that actually was a friend of ours. Later on, I found out she asked why it got canceled that day, and she said it was really foggy up on the glacier, and so there wasn't a lot of visibility. And so that made me feel a little bit better that there was actually a reason why it was canceled. So
I guess that makes sense. Mendenhall, if it was going to Taku, that's on the other side of the mountain, so you might not have been able to see that it was maybe a little bit foggy over there. So
this one was Mendenhall, though.
Oh, it's Mendenhall. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the same with us when we were in Skagway. Helicopters were flying all day doing the landing on the glacier, but the ones going the dog sledding on the different glacier, that's the one that got canceled. So it's frustrating, because I'm watching helicopters every 30 minutes, 3 of them land and take off, right? And I'm like, oh, we're good. And no, we weren't.
Man. Well, I guess it just means we all have to go back, I guess, right?
That's right. That's what I told my wife. I just said, this means we got to come back so the kids can experience this. So
let's turn to you, Chris, real quick. We don't have to get into the weeds on this one, but you guys went Celebrity this time, and I know that you've been on Celebrity now a couple times. How would you compare Celebrity up in Alaska versus Disney?
So my kids are older; they're 18 and 21, and so for us, they really enjoyed it. There's more specialty restaurants. There's a, sushi bar. There's a Italian restaurant, a steak restaurant. There's more options for dinner and stuff. And there's a casino, which my kids ended up enjoying. And we walk into the casino the first day, and it says, no one under 21. I was like, God, I thought it was 18. That's weird, because in Bahamas it's 18. Well, they never questioned Nick. And his key card's the one how you charge it to the room. It didn't reject his key card. So they had fun in the casino. And so it's just a different atmosphere. I think for older kids, it's, they're kind of transitioning away from Disney a little bit. They still love Disney, and we still love Disney, but the ship is just as nice. And I think the service is just as good as Disney, that it's very comparable to us.
And as far as like kids their age, was there more kids maybe their age on board a ship like that?
There didn't seem to be honest with you. There wasn't a whole lot of kids on this sailing at all. There was a few little kids, and I didn't really see many their age. A lot of people like, my age without their kids, and some older people, obviously.
We would really like to transition to do celebrity as well. We just haven't figured out a time to fit that in, but I'm glad you guys had a great time on it. And being able to do that north to south, I think is kind of a cool itinerary as well, just to do something a little bit different.
And that's what really kind of sold us on taking this particular, I was open to other cruise lines too, but doing the southbound really kind of was exciting to us, something different.
Well, before we finish up Alaska, guys, Wes, what kind of advice would you give people booking there? I know you're a travel agent as well, so your clients, what kind of advice would you give somebody sailing to Alaska?
That's a good question. I thought about this a little bit, and I don't know if you guys have experience with this, but what I've heard and kind of what I've experienced is it seems like the earlier you go, the better the weather is going to be, but maybe you don't see as much wildlife, and vice versa. The later you go, it's going to be a little colder, potentially a little rainier, but you may see some more wildlife. So we went in June and August, and so that was kind of my own personal experience and what I've heard as well. So that might be something to keep in mind. I mentioned the private port adventures. If you wanted to, go on helicopters or seaplanes or anything like that, maybe consider booking those privately rather than through the cruise line. If you want a better chance to have those excursions not be canceled. And then the other thing I would say is, if you can, splurge for a veranda. I mean, I understand that they're really expensive, but the amount of time that we spent on our veranda on this cruise was much more than on any other cruise. And there's just so much to see from your own private veranda. Inside staterooms can be great because there's so much light in Alaska during the summer. So, you may be bothered by the sun coming in your veranda door, but I think a veranda is, if you can afford it, if it fits in your budget, it's absolutely worth splurging for.
Good points there. How about you, Chris?
And going to what Wes was saying, so I've been in first part of June and the last week of July twice. I've had sunshine both times, but we had no whales in June, where in July, both times, the whales were unbelievable, including orcas. I mean, that was to us, it was a really, big difference in seeing any whales. But I know some of the dog sledding thing later in the season get canceled too, because there's not enough snow up there. So that's something to take into account. And we did June this time just because this worked for our schedule, but that's how we ended up in June. But that was one big difference we saw.
Yeah, I think it's been a while since I've been really flying up to Alaska quite a bit, but I think you guys are spot on as far as the weather goes. Usually a little bit nicer the earlier part of the year, and then we went the time we went was like the end of August, I think, may have even been September, and it was pretty rainy up there. I mean, still not super cold or anything like that, but just making sure you had some layers and some rain jackets and stuff like that. It was fine still to be able to do most things. And what to your point about the wildlife, when we were up there in May, the bears were coming out of hibernation at Icy Strait, and so they had I guess there's like a lot of trails that normally you can walk down, and they had them closed down because the bears were waking up and they were hungry and they didn't want to risk people going down those trails.
So that's one thing they did tell us on this cruise is bear season is kind of later in the year. So we were there mid-June, and they said bear season would be later on because that's when the salmon run happens. I think they said mid-July, late July is sort of the salmon run time period. So that if you're really looking for bears, definitely later in the summer, I think is a better time to go.
Yeah, we did a bear hike in Icy Strait Point, and we saw nothing on the way. And it was like a 25-minute, on like a little bus thing to get there. And twice the bus driver supposedly saw a bear cross the road. Right? I don't think he ever did. I think he's just hyping you up. On the way there, he saw one. On the way back, we saw it. Everyone's looking out the window. No one else saw the bear.
That's what it was like when we went to the Keys a couple of years. We did this like kayak trip to go see manatees, and the guide saw a couple of them, but we never saw a thing. So I don't think they move very fast as far as.
Yeah, right.
We saw a video actually of one of the cast members showed it to us when we were in Norwegian, and the top part of the zip line there at Icy Strait, they've got a camera sitting up there so they can make sure, just to watch for people, I guess, or whatever. Anyways, they had cleared out the top of the zip line, and right after they left, this huge bear came down and was kind of following them down the trail, and they didn't even realize they had a bear behind them. So
oh wow,
yeah, it was kind of cool. Well, anything else about Alaska, guys, before we turn to some goofy questions here?
I just say it's if you're on the fence about doing it, it's absolutely worth doing. It's an amazing experience.
And I did tell you this too. We went fishing when we went to Ketchikan too. My youngest fell asleep, so he slept the whole time because he was tired. But he was like 6 at the time. And then our oldest, he caught the biggest fish, and the only one I caught, or what I hooked, was reeling it in. This like giant. I saw this giant bald eagle came down and picked it up out of the water, and then
No way.
took my fish away.
That's kind of cool though. Did you get to keep the fish?
I don't think. Well, the one that we caught was a red, which is not really a good eating fish, and so
Right.
So there was no reason to keep it. But I'm not sure if you could or not. Like I'm not sure if they would let you bring it back on the ship and have the cook,
Yeah. So our plan was to have it frozen and shipped back. But really all I wanted, because my family doesn't eat anything that comes out of the ocean, unfortunately, not excluding me. I love seafood and I love salmon. So I would have had it sent home. But all I wanted out of this excursion was like a big fish that I could hold up to the camera and take a picture with. But we didn't catch any that were big enough to even pull out of the water. So again, I told my wife, I got to come back because I need to catch a bigger salmon. So lots of good reasons to go back from coming out of my last trip.
Oh, exactly. So, all right, well, let's turn to, I had a lot of fun on your show, Wes, and I think maybe you had some better questions, but we'll run with these
these are good.
as kind of some this or that ones. Disney has come up, and am I saying it right, Wes? Is it the Disney C band? I forgot.
It's the Disney band.
Disney band. Okay.
Disney band. Yeah.
Disney's come up with a Disney band. It's debuted on the Wish, and it also soon to be the Fantasy, or maybe the Fantasy already. So you can either use that or your Key to the World card. Which one are you going with, Chris? Are you buying into Disney's new tech?
I'll probably buy one just for the fact when you're carrying a bunch of snacks back to your room, if they hadn't tried to get your lanyard up to the lock, you just kind of put your wrist there. But the fact that it doesn't work like a Castaway, it's like, it's just dumb. It's like, you still got to take a Key of the World card. It's like, why?
I don't know. How about you, Wes? What's your thoughts?
So I actually love the Magic Band at Disney World. I think gives an added level of convenience, and so I'm all for it on the cruise ships. I don't love the cost, obviously, but that's Disney these days. I love the convenience of it. I don't personally like carrying my Key to the World card around, even on the ships now. So I think it's a great thing. You can just wear something on your wrist that kind of gives you the same benefits of having your Key to the World with you.
Yeah, I think we'll probably go with it as well. But I agree, Chris. So hopefully they can make it work a little bit more seamless all the way across the experience. And to your point, Anawik wanted me to ask you is this one: how about the lanyards? If you do wear the lanyards, with the big Mickey head or the classic lanyards? Because I saw a lot of the classic lanyards on the one cruise that we've done this summer.
So my sailing 3 weeks ago. My sailing 3 weeks ago, I took a classic lanyard. I didn't need the big Mickey head. And going to the point of the Magic Bands too, the Disney bands, whatever. I love the idea of, it's a pet peeve of mine when we go to Powell or Remy or whatever, and people are all dressed up in a suit or whatever and got a lanyard on. I'm like, dude, put it in your pocket. The only time I would ever use a lanyard is like when I'm getting off the ship to go to Castaway or something. Anyway, that was I unclip it and put the plastic part in my pocket. And the big Mickey head, yeah, I'm good. I'll let Wes wear that.
Well, no, I was just gonna say the thing that I don't wear my lanyard. I just keep my Key to the World in my pocket because I don't. It feels like bulky and kind of like just something extra that's like waving around your body all the time. And the Mickey ones are even worse. They're heavier, and I'm not a big fan of the new ones. I definitely like the old ones better. And you also can't really tell the difference between the platinum ones and the silver ones. So, with at least when you had the black ones for platinum, you felt like you were, exclusive, but now.
So what's my pearl one going to look like?
Well, the pearl one is, that one's.
I have to rep that.
I would wear the pearl one. When I make pearl, I'll wear that one.
Yeah, we got back at Otto. He goes, "Do you want this? The one with the Mickey head?" And it was like, because she's like, "I'm not wearing this again." So, are they here to stay, Wes?
I think they are.
Okay.
I think that's. They haven't made an official announcement about them, but I think they are here to stay.
So it wasn't just a 25th thing, I guess. Okay, Chris has got his classic one. I saw a lot of people with the
I got mine right here. You can see I haven't even taken it out of the
bag,
the paper or anything.
Well, they opened ours up. Ours were opened up and laid out on the bed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, look for it on eBay. Wes may be selling his.
That's right.
You can get
New
it
in package.
in package that's worth even more. I saw a lot of people with even the classic platinum ones, Wes. I don't know if you have one of those, because I think you were platinum way before we were.
Possibly around here somewhere. I don't typically like keep track of them.
Yeah. So,
but I may have one. I do have my original Castaway Club card though, which is kind of cool.
Oh, is that one that they used to give out to mail to you afterwards or something?
Yeah, they used exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And I would show it to you right now, but it's not where I thought it was. So hopefully I do know where it is.
I have one of those somewhere too. I'm trying looking as I'm talking to you guys. It's not thick plastic. It's like very thin plastic.
Yeah, it's very thin. Yeah.
Kind of like those beer token ones, maybe, or something like that they have. Okay. All right. Here's one for you, and I got an answer to this one, I guess. But when you're cruising that first day, are you first to the ship, or nah? Don't rush me. I'll get you there. I'll get there when I get there. How about you, Wes?
I am a first to the ship, first on the ship kind of person. Like I want to be there as early as possible. I want to get on as soon as possible. And really it's just because I would rather be on the ship than whatever else I'm doing, beforehand. So I'm sad and a little bit mad that the arrive anytime feature for platinum has now been given to the Pearl Castaway Club members. Because that was a huge benefit of being a platinum Castaway Club member, is just being able to arrive at the port whenever. So yeah, I am absolutely a arrive early, get on early type of cruiser.
You can watch Chris's Twitter account, see him posting all his pictures on board while you're still waiting in the.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
How about you, Chris?
We're definitely arrive as soon as we can. And especially since we're usually in a hotel somewhere anyway, we got to check out. And so, yeah, we want to get on the ship and get our vacation started.
So I'm going to go. Normally, we want to get on there early as we can. But I found the last couple of times we've been at Port Canaveral, getting there about 1:00 in the afternoon, you miss that huge rush. You literally just walk through.
That's a good point.
And on the ship and everything like that. So it's been like, you kind of miss all that chaos. And for a 3 or 4 night cruise, I think we should still try to get on early. But 7-night cruise, I think we're waiting until 1:00 or so there at least.
Last winter, Steve, we went on a cruise in November, and I think it was a hurricane. There was I think it was a weather system coming through, and we ended up getting the Wish ended up coming back late into Port Canaveral. It took a while for them to open Port Canaveral, get people off, and then let people back on. So we didn't end up boarding the ship until I think somewhere around 6 or 7 p.m. And the whole time I was just like, this is why I like getting on early, because we're just out here trying to find ways to kill time. And, when normally we'd be at the port getting on the ship and, just enjoying the ship. But to your point, I do think there is some benefits arriving kind of around that 1:00 time period and just being able to walk right on, and your room is ready soon after that. Like, it is kind of annoying to sort of carry your stuff around until your room is ready. So, I think there is some benefit to that, but I still say get on early.
We have late dining always too, so that makes a little bit of difference. Like if you're getting on at 1:00 and then going to eat at 5, I think that makes a little bit of a difference too. All right. Yep. Did you guys know there's a new ship coming out? There's a new ship coming out, I think, in 2024.
I've heard about it.
Yeah,
I've heard some things about it.
The treasure. Hope to find out some more about it later this month, I guess. So there's the new ship coming out, the Treasure. Chris, are you first on, or I'm going to wait 6 months or a year and jump on then?
I think I'm going to do the same plan I did with the Wish. We waited about 3 months, kind of let everything get settled out, fix all the bugs out of it, and kind of go with that plan. I mean, it'd be fun to be there quicker, but it's like, I heard so many horror stories of this not operating, this not working. So I just rather give it time to settle out.
Wes, I think you're on pretty early with the Wish, and I think they put you to work. You guys are still like doing some electrical work, wiring up some of the light switches and everything in the staterooms, everything like that.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah. Oh, I am absolutely. As soon as I can get on, I want to be on. We were scheduled to be on the maiden voyage for the Wish, and when they changed the date, my work schedule didn't allow me to do the new dates, and I was devastated. So if we are not able to do the maiden voyage of the Treasure, I'm going to be really, really upset. So I'm hoping that the timing and everything works out with that. I have major FOMO of people being able to get on and kind of experience it and talk about it and post pictures of it, and I just want to be part of all that. So I want to be on day one as soon as I can. I don't, if it's unfinished, that's fine. If the crew's still working out the kinks and all that stuff, that's fine. I'm good.
Yeah, I think that's going to be pretty amazing for you to be able to hopefully do that again. Kind of like Lighthouse Point, I guess, being able to see that for the first time, huh?
Yeah, Chris and I are going on the inaugural Lighthouse Point cruise next year.
Which goes against everything I believe in, but I figure they don't have to do much to get the sand ready, I guess. So there's a beach to lay on, will be okay.
There may be you might have to help out, put some finishing touches on that cabana. Or
yeah, they'll put a rake in your hand and have you raking out all the sand.
They'll have me putting the roof on my cabana or something.
Well, let's stick with the treasure. Did they knock it out of the park, Wes, with hook and pan on the back?
I think they did. I love it. I think that fits the adventure theme really well. It's two unique characters. I love that they put two characters back there, and the rendering that we saw is really cool too. I think, yes, I love it. I think it's perfect.
I like the fact that Pan is spilling some paint on Hook there. He's a little upset about it. How about you, Chris?
No, I thought they did a great job with it. I think it was perfect.
And I like how they put a villain and a hero on there. I mean, that's a first for Disney Cruise Line, right?
Yeah. I mean, the villains are hugely popular. I mean, if they ever did that Villains Land, could you imagine? Like, I think.
Right. Absolutely.
And I'd love to see him do a little bit more villain themes on the Halloween on the High Seas cruises as well.
Sure.
They were supposed to do that last time. They were supposed to have like some kind of meetup or something like that. I think that would be awesome if they had some kind of adult themed kind of entertainment around that. So let's kind of stick with this one. And I know I'm going to put an asterisk because I think Chris is going to answer something completely different, but or he's going to add something to this one. But what are you going to book? Halloween on the High Seas or a Very Merry Time cruise? I'll start with you, Chris, because I think you're going to go someplace else.
I'm very Merry cruise. I'm all about that.
And what makes that special, I guess, versus Halloween?
The Halloween to me is mostly atrium focused, it seems like. You got the Halloween tree in the atrium and you got some window clings on the windows. But the Christmas, I mean, like in Palo, they got garden on the windows. They have a Christmas tree in there. One of my favorite things is going out in the morning, opening the door to our room and going in the hallway and hearing the Christmas music. That just like sets the whole tone for me. We're very Merry cruisers.
I know you guys really like Thanksgiving. I thought you were going to go, and I didn't mean to put words in your mouth. I thought you were going to go with the New Year's cruise. So,
no, we did the New Year's cruise once, and I was good.
Okay, I take that back. Then I was totally wrong on that one. I was totally wrong. How about you, Wes? Which one it speaks to you?
I'm the same. The Very Merry Time cruises are one of the best things that Disney Cruise Line does. It's an amazing theme. I love all the activities that they do or the events that they do, like, story time with Mrs. Claus, meeting Santa Claus, the tree lighting ceremony. Like, there's so many activities built around the Christmas theme, whereas Halloween, I feel like it's more, like Chris said, it's more about the decorations. Yes, they do the trick-or-treating. Yes, they do, sort of the costume parties. But I just think they do Very Merry Time better than they do the Halloween theme. And I also I'm not a huge Halloween, fan of Halloween, the holiday itself. I know Chris is probably horrified at me saying that, but Very Merry Time cruises are amazing, so magical for the kids. Just absolutely one of the best things that Disney Cruise Line does.
I'm going to go with you guys too. I'm going to agree with you guys on this one. Halloween just feels like it's kind of more of a one day thing, almost like the Marvel Day at Sea sort of thing. I mean, yeah, they have the decorations up, but to me, the Christmas cruise we did just seemed like it was more magical the whole week through. We've really come to enjoy the live music that they have on board. And there's something about, sitting in one of the lounges with the garlands up and everything like that. And, having them play Christmas music too as part of their, repertoire. We love that. So
definitely. I'm a big fan of the carolers too.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I love when they have the carolers.
And it's not just one time either. So they have it multiple times during the cruise. So if you miss it, you're going to be able to go back and see that. So,
and to go back there, with the exception of the Wish, the gingerbread houses they build on those ships, I mean, they're incredible. I mean, that's just like a highlight. It's like, we can't wait to see the gingerbread house. And boarding the Wish last year, it's like, where's the house? There's a little cake thing here in the corner with some poinsettias around it, but
little tower. Yeah.
Didn't part of it fall down at one point? Somebody had a picture. I
didn't see that.
There was like a little piece that fell off of it or something.
We're going to be on the Wish again for a very merry over Veterans Weekend, and I'm hoping they step up their decorations. I hope it was a fact of last year everything got kind of rushed, but I don't have much hope.
I think that my hope is that was a one-off, and I think they just weren't prepared for it. Maybe. Who knows? All right. Let's kind of keep running with just onboard ship stuff. How about, and this is something that we've kind of pivoted towards. We don't actually go to a lot of the shows anymore, to be completely honest. We've seen most of the Broadway style shows. Not that we don't enjoy them when we go and see them, but when they do have like the entertainers on board, like the magicians, the jugglers and stuff like that. Chris, if you do go and see them, would you rather go see them in the theater, or would you rather go see them like kind of the adult show in like the Tube, etc.?
I'd rather be in one of the smaller venues like the Tube or one of the little lounges, 100%.
I think they add a little bit more to it. It's a little more intimate. And they kind of engage with the audience a little bit more. How about you, Wes?
I was gonna say that exact thing, Steve. I think they are more engaging with the audience in the smaller venues, and a lot of times they'll even bring people up to participate. They do that in the Walt Disney Theater to some extent, but yeah, it's definitely a better experience in the smaller venues for those types of variety acts.
Yeah, we enjoyed that too. I mean, we just have a hard time, like 6 o'clock, especially with late night dinner. 6 o'clock is our kind of like chill time, and I just don't feel like rushing around to get ready to go see a show at that time. So we've enjoyed watching them later in the evening as well.
That's a good point too.
I'd rather be on my balcony with a drink in my hand at 6 o'clock than trying to get into a theater.
I agree with you there, Chris. All right, let's change it up a little bit. These aren't necessarily true sailings, but I think they're slowly kind of coming about. Very different part of the world. Wes, where are you booking? Would you rather go on a 7-night sailing out of Australia on the Wonder, or possibly 7 nights out of Singapore on the yet to be named large ship that may be finished?
I'm doing Australia, and the reason, well, for two reasons. One, I'm more interested in visiting Australia than I am in visiting. Well, we don't know where the Global Dream is going to go yet, but I'm very interested in going to Australia someday, and I would love, it'd be fun to do that with Disney Cruise Line. But also, I'm sort of bitter about the Global Dream because it just goes against everything that they've done over the 25 years, because they've purpose built these cruise ships right from the ground up, and they all look the same, and they all have a similar feel and similar vibe, and then they just go and purchase this monstrosity of a cruise ship, and they're they're gonna retrofit it to kind of look like the others, but I still feel like it's sort of the outsider and not true Disney Cruise Line ship. So I don't know if I'll ever go on the Global Dream, to be honest. I don't know.
How about you, Chris? He's smiling.
I want to go see the monstrosity. I hope they leave the escalators in the atrium. I'm sure it has a jogging track on it. It has to, right?
Yes, that's probably true. Yeah.
So I'm open to go check it out.
It's got the casino probably too. I think allegedly.
Everyone's debating that it's going to have a casino. And
you think so?
Yes. And if you're the people that cry about it, there's people that have been on 10 Disney cruises and never seen the spa, right? So you can avoid things if you want to. It could be on deck 1 forward or something, but it's going to have a casino.
I think I agree with you, Chris, just because, I mean, what do they say? They were never going to put alcohol in the Magic Kingdom.
And that market, they like to gamble. I mean, it's just a fact. And I like to gamble too. So I'm all about it.
I'll also say that part of the world is a little less accessible for us being on the East Coast. Even flying to Vancouver was a 6-hour flight for us. So to then add on an extra, whatever it is, 14 hours on top of that would just be a lot for us.
and going back to Singapore, it's like when we went to Europe for the first time, as Americans, we've never been to Europe. You're nervous. We got to go to all these ports where you're taken there every day. I didn't have to try to communicate with taxi drivers and check into different hotels. So that'd be the same for me for Singapore too. If you can get to the airport, and get to the ship, they take care of the rest, right? So you kind of see everything with a lot less stress.
But I think that's a good point too, Wes. If, we would definitely try and make it, at least a 2-week experience going by the time you get all the way to, even from the West Coast, to get Australia is a long ways, and to Singapore as well. I think you guys are like halfway around the world. It's like the opposite side of the world to go to both of those.
I think so. Yeah.
I guess. Any other thoughts about the global dream? What's it going to be named? Anybody got a hint on that one? No,
I have no idea. I
just hope they make the Atrium character be Goofy. So this is gonna be the oddball ship.
Yeah,
that'd funny. Yeah,
the Goofy with the kind of like the bloodshot looking eyes.
what's funny though, Chris? Chris and Steve, I guess. I spend a lot of time thinking about like what the final ship is going to be like, what the theme is going to be, things like that. And I have spent almost no time thinking about the global dream, because I just like, in my mind, it's just sort of this side project that that I don't spend a lot of focus on. So maybe I should turn my focus a little bit more to that.
Well, let's stay with that third Triton class ship then. Wes, what would you like to see as the statue, or do they put a statue? Do they do something different? Do they not put a statue in the lobby and just go completely different?
That's a good question. I'd never considered that. I sort of just assume they'll kind of go with the same theme across all the ships. They did it with the treasure, so it feels weird that they would do it one out of the rest of the fleet to not have a statue. So I think in order to figure out what the statue is going to be, you have to guess what the theme is going to be. So I'm gonna say it's going to be imagination is going to be the theme. And what I think would be really cool about that, when I think about imagination and Disney, I always come back to Mickey at the end of Fantasmic when he comes on. He says, "Some imagination, huh?" And then he kind of goes to the top of the mountain. So I think it'd be cool to have Sorcerer Mickey and like the Maleficent dragon as the statue in the lobby atrium. But I think they are going to move away from sort of the classic Disney characters, and there'll be some sort of character from a movie. So I don't know that that's realistic, but that's what I'll say.
Well, I kind of joked that I wanted it to be the Hatbox Ghost, but and since it sounds like the Haunted Mansion theming is coming to the treasure, I don't think that's going to be it. But I love that idea of the dragon and Sorcerer Mickey. I think that would be kind of cool. I thought you were going to run with Figment maybe, but
it's too easy. Too easy.
How about you, Chris? Any thoughts on this one?
I want to see Darth Vader as the Figment, as the statue in the atrium.
I kind of feel like if it's Darth Vader, it needs to have like, it almost needs to be an animatronic or something that interacts with you somehow.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be cool.
Darth Vader, like BB-8 like by his feet, right, or something. Really mix it up. Screw the timelines all up, Really get people upset.
There would be some people really upset about that.
Oh God, they'd go crazy.
Just Twitter explodes.
Oh yeah,
that's that one.
But and honestly, if they did that, every 7-year-old kid would be like the happiest kid in the world, right? Had BB-8 and Darth Vader, but the adults with this couldn't handle it.
What do you guys think about this? This is like total speculation. What do you think about that third ship replacing the Magic, the original ship?
As in like the Magic going away altogether?
Yeah.
Oh man. It feels like they would not do that. They would send the older ships like to some part of the world that is underserved in terms of, Disney cruise experience, or maybe even just cruising experiences altogether. It feels like that's what they would do before scrapping it, but who knows? I mean, they're definitely getting old as cruise ships go, or are old as cruise ships go. So at some point, it feels like they got to scrap them, but who knows when and if that'll happen.
10 years from now, the Magic will not be in the fleet, or the Wonder. I don't think it'll be 35 and 33 years old or whatever. If they're not going to be in the fleet, unfortunately, and it, unfortunately, it's going to be a sad day, but they're going to be so old by then. Things start to wear. I mean, I was once on a Carnival ship. This was in 2005, and the ship was built in 1973. It was a pile of garbage.
I think Adamic was on that ship. She's got a picture of the ship that they're for her very first cruise back in like 1990, and it looked old then.
This was out of Long Beach. This was out of Long Beach, and we've talked about this. I believe it was the same ship. Yeah, it was garbage. It was just the thing rushed everywhere.
Well, luckily Disney keeps pretty good care of their ships. But to your point, Chris, I know you've got heavy machinery that you deal with. Things just start to wear out, and it becomes price. You just can't afford to fix what needs to be fixed. It just gets too expensive.
I mean, there was a point where just like stuff in the rooms, like receptacles and stuff like that they're not available anymore to replace, kind of deal. They're gonna have to retrofit things, and that's the point where it becomes cost prohibitive in any business.
Not to mention, I mean, once you've been on the Wish and you go back on the Wonder and the Magic and you see the video screens on the funnel vision, it's like, holy cow, it's like looking at a VHS tape versus 4K, HD TV these days. So, but there's still amazing ships to go on. Don't get me wrong. I still love the Wonder and the Magic. Okay.
Yes,
one last question for you guys. This has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate you joining me today and doing this. But you guys have been sailing a lot longer than I have in our family. And I know a lot of things have kind of come and gone when it comes to Disney Cruise Line. I've got one that I think of. It's not huge, but let's start with you, Chris. What's something that you used to be able to experience on Disney Cruise Line that is gone today and you wish they still had?
They used to have like behind the scenes tours, like a galley tour or like a bridge tour. They don't have them anymore, and other cruise lines still do. So it's kind of frustrating. That's something I'm the kind of person I like to see how things work, and that was really fun to do. And I wish they'd bring them back.
And how about you, Wes?
I got a few things here. Some of them are really small, but it was just part of the experience and part of like the nostalgia that I used to get on going on these cruises. I don't know if you guys ever cruised when in Animator's Palette, when the waiters used to be wearing all black and white. And then and then at the end, they would turn their vests inside out and they'd come out in the colors. And then the dining room would be all colorful. I loved that. I think now they just wear colored vests, throughout the course of dinner. And I think it'd be cool if they brought that back. The soft serve ice cream, they used to serve sprinkles, rainbow sprinkles with the soft serve ice cream.
I can't imagine.
And I miss it. Every time I'm getting ice cream, I'm like, this would be awesome with some rainbow sprinkles. But they don't do those anymore.
So Wes, next year when we're on the inaugural Lighthouse Point sailing, I'll bring you a bag of sprinkles.
I appreciate it. Yeah,
to throw on there too. I really mix it up, man.
We'll just make some ice cream sundaes right there on the pool deck. That sounds good to me. There's a few shows that have come and gone. Hercules the musical was one that I really enjoyed. I thought they did a really good job with that, and I love the movie Hercules and the music in that one. So that was fun. I miss that, and a lot of people miss Villains Tonight. I never got to see that one, but that was a really popular one. And then in terms of like imports of call, or I guess cruises, I am really sad that Disney Cruise Line doesn't cruise from New York City to the Bahamas anymore. Every time there's a fall itinerary release, I look for those itineraries because they were so much fun. Having a port day at Port Canaveral where they bus you over to Disney World was just one of the coolest experiences ever. So I miss that. And then jet skiing at Castaway Cay is one of my favorite things to do. It's really fun to do there. They sort of lead you out and then they just turn you loose, and I haven't seen jet skis in a long time, so I'm not sure if those are ever coming back.
Yeah, those were there before COVID, and then they never came back.
Yeah.
And you took it nice and slow on it, right, Chris? From what I remember.
Oh yeah. We talked about this on your show. I remember, as a liability standpoint, I don't know how Disney even let this happen. I mean, it was pretty much a free for all. It's like, yeah, I think maybe some Disney lawyer actually finally saw what was going on, maybe, because it was like, I was an experienced jet ski rider and ATV rider and motorcycle rider, and after an hour, my arms were jello, man. I was done. And it's like, it was sketchy at best, but it was a lot of fun.
I just have visions of NASCAR with you guys out there, circling around in the ocean.
I had the lead guy spraying water on us one time, going back and forth, making a wake, and then he was on a little boat and lifting the outboard out of the water to spray me and Nick with water.
Yeah. If you read the description on the Port Adventure website, when you're booking it, it says guided tour, like they'll lead you out and they'll guide you around the waters. That's not what they guide you out of the, what is it called? the harbor there, and then just like they just turn you loose. It's awesome.
Whoever the fastest person was set the pace. The guy,
right.
The lead guy would let the fastest jet skier set the pace, and there'd be someone half mile, 3/4 mile behind going, super slow, and they'd be waiting for that guy.
Yep.
Yeah, America.
Well, you, Steve, anything you can?
I do remember what you're talking about when they used to change the and I don't know when that stopped as far as animators, when they used to go from black and white to color, but
I thought they still did it.
No, I did notice it. I don't know if it was like COVID or something like that, but yeah, I do remember that and kind of miss that. I've got a weird one, and I've asked people a lot about this and about Alaska, but when we went to Alaska, the day that we went up to the glacier, they had an actual barbecue. Like, they brought barbecues out onto the back of the Wonder, and they barbecued up salmon and reindeer sausage and a whole bunch of other different things. And I thought that was just a cool experience, sitting out there for lunch, eating, some real like Alaskan food up there as you
really cool
up to the glacier. So some of those little touches like that, but it's probably like, once again, it's probably a safety thing that, like, you guys got a live fire out.
No, it's probably a cost thing. Anything that goes away, there's a money reason behind it.
Well, yeah, that's a better point there. That's for sure. Well, any questions you guys got do you guys got any of these in you that you want to throw out quick before we finish up?
Well, Steve, tell us, what are your next sailings?
Oh, our next sailing. So we are on the Wonder, or the Magic in October, doing just a 3-night cruise with one of Anoic's best friends. It's the first time they're going on a Disney cruise, which is nice. Kind of cool. And then we have we were supposed to do that Thanksgiving cruise, but my parents backed out on it. That we had, Chris, and I just can't leave my parents without them being in Thanksgiving. I can't go. We can't leave Thanksgiving at home, I guess is what I'm getting at. So we've got a very merry time sailing on the Fantasy, I guess. And then we've got Norway next year. Although I just saw some pictures of somebody doing the ABD to Norway, and we're going to look into the cost difference between that and like what we've got planned just flying out there. And I don't know, we may pivot and try and do an ABD.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Rather than the cruise. So I don't know. We'll have to see. How about you guys? What do you got, Chris?
We have the Wish for Veterans Weekend as a kind of last minute booking for us, because I just realized we're not going to be on a Very Merry this year. I was kind of missing it because we had planned to be on the Thanksgiving cruise out of San Diego, and then Nick decided we were going to college, and I found out he only gets Thursday and Friday off. So I'm like, I can't have him missing 3 days of college, his first year of college, because he's not the kid that needs to be missing school. Then we have New Orleans in the springtime on the Magic, which would be fun because it's the Magic instead of the Wonder, something different. And then the inaugural with West next June for Lighthouse Point. And then we're going to Spain in July on the Dream. So all different ships in different areas, kind of mixing it up a little bit.
How about US?
We're doing New Year's Eve double dip on the Dream this year with my parents. And then the inaugural Lighthouse Point next June. And then hopefully Treasure next fall/winter.
And going to Wes's New Year's sailing, when we're talking about the sailings, I said I did New Year's, wasn't that great for us. We did it in New Year's of 21 when Omicron was huge. Everything on the cruise was very muted, very.
Oh, wow, yeah.
They didn't tell you anything. It's like there was no countdown anywhere kind of thing. It was a very different experience on that cruise. That was the week when I know in the Fantasy couldn't dock at a couple places because they had so much COVID on board. And so it was a very different experience. So I'm hoping Wes comes back and says it was the best time ever, because we're going to do a New Year's on a Celebrity in 24. So I'm going to try a New Year's cruise again.
Well, I think New Year's on a cruise ship, I think now, to your point, Chris, hopefully we have COVID mostly behind us, and it's going to be a way different experience. And I hope you just have a great time on it.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. Yeah.
Be fun to try and hook up with you guys.
That would be fun,
I'd like to do a sprinkle cruise as well. Sprinkles. So.
Maybe some chocolate chips,
hot fudge.
Just really do it up. Well, guys, thank you so much. This has been just a great time connecting with you guys today. It's always fun to be able to talk to friends about Disney Cruise Line and cruising and just to kind of laugh a little bit. Wes, you do such an amazing job with your podcast. For people who can't imagine that they're not listening to it, but if they want to find you in your podcast, where can they find you as well?
It's the DCL Dude podcast. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on anywhere you find podcasts, you'll be able to find me there. So I appreciate that, Steve. This has been tons of fun, and I always appreciate you having me on your show, and you guys do a great job over there as well. So it's fun to get together with people and talk Disney cruises.
Definitely. And Chris, you do an awesome job on Twitter. You know what? You open up a window.
He's a celebrity on Twitter.
He is. You open up a window to things that people, like a lot of us, are never going to be able to see. And I really do appreciate that. I mean that in all honesty. And I think it's awesome, the window that you open up for people to get to see what else is available on Disney Cruise Line. So give Chris a follow on Twitter. Where can they catch up with you, Chris?
So I'm Chris in the Concierge Lounge, which is Chris_Magic_DCL. And if you happen to see me on a ship, say hello to me. Don't wait a week later and post it on Steve's Patreon page that you saw me in line for the pictures, but like something I forget that her little daughter, she had a little 2-year-old daughter that was having a great time with a sword on pirate night, and she posted something like, "My daughter almost took out Chris and the Concierge family" or something, but the girl was having a blast. She was super cute.
Funny.
And if you're going to ring and run Chris's door on the Dream or the Fantasy, just remember that hallway goes both ways.
Yes.
a little inside one there. No, don't do that. I'm just kidding. Well, anyways, thanks guys. Once again, I really do appreciate you doing catching up with you guys today. It was a lot of fun, and I want to wish you all the best as the summer ends. Chris, best to the kids as they head off into college. What an exciting time, especially for Nick, his first year. And Wes, all the best to you with the kids finishing up summer and going on into school again. Busy times.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Steve. This was fun.
All right. All the best to you guys, and let's do it again sometime soon.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Cheers. Bye. Well, that's going to wrap up our show today. Once again, I really want to thank Wes from the DCL Dude podcast. Make sure you go over and follow him wherever you get your podcast. Just an amazing show. Always fun to talk to him and listen to what he has going on each and every week as his episodes come out. And also Chris, a longtime friend of the show, Chris in the Concierge. If you have a chance to be on Twitter, or I guess they call it X now, make sure you follow him. He brings a lot of fun content there. And look for his Halloween party coming up. It's always a pretty scary, spooky time down there, and he does just a great job for all the members of his community. So once again, Chris in the Concierge, you can follow him on X. We'd like to give a huge shout out to our Patreon supporters who help bring this show to you each and every week ad-free. If you'd like to find out how you can support the show, you can go to patreon.com/DCL podcast and find out all the information there. Well, best of luck also to our Run Disney fans. The Springtime Surprise weekend registration opened up today, so a lot of people are up early registering for the Springtime Surprise race. If you're going to be headed down there, myself and a lot of others will be running the 10-miler, so look for us down. Well, as the dog days of summer kind of are starting to wane, on behalf of all of us here at the DCL podcast, myself, Steve, Christy, Nova, and Lake, we want to wish you to be well. Enjoy time with family and friends, whether you're headed on a Disney cruise, Adventures by Disney, or just getting ready for those the Wine and Dine weekend coming up for Run Disney. On behalf of all of us here, we want to wish you to be well. Once again, enjoy time with family and friends, and we'll see you next time on the DCL podcast. Goodbye, everybody.
The DCL podcast is not affiliated with the Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney Company, Adventures by Disney, or Run Disney. All of the opinions expressed on our shows are those of the hosts and the guests who appear on the show. If you have any questions about any of these products, please contact the Walt Disney Company.